Today's discussion is a much needed one. I have touched on this here and there in various podcast episodes, but for some reason it hasn't occurred to me to dedicate a whole episode to this. So, we are going to be talking about white feminism. Because in a time where Trump has become president, he didn't get there on his own. And it wasn't just men who voted for him. But aside from Donald Trump, why I say that I've touched on white feminism here and there is in my work, where I face the most resistance is when I discuss men and money. Because according to feminism, in air quotes, the goal is to be equal to men. Therefore, if we are equal to men, then we are splitting things with men equally. Even though we don't live in a world that we are treated equally in, we are still going to behave like we are equal to men, especially and specifically when it comes to finances, according to feminism. Now, why I call that white feminism is because that is an outlook that is largely pushed by white women. And as I delve further into this episode, I really want to disclaim that this is in no way hate speech, and it feels pathetic to have to say that. But unfortunately, when you are calling out the behaviours of a group who wield power, they see accountability as hate speech. During this episode, I will be drawing parallels between white women and men, because there are very identical behaviours that make up what we know as patriarchy. Because just like I said, Donald Trump didn't get there on his own. The men didn't all just vote. Somebody else had to vote too, and it was the women. In that same breath, it's women, specifically white women, who also uphold and reinforce patriarchy. White women don't wield enough power to necessarily oppress everybody else like men do, but white women do possess systemic power to still enable harm towards marginalized groups of people if they wanted to. See, for example, white women crying and black people ending up in prison as a result of the white tears. See, for example, white women calling the police on people of colour when they feel that they want to just be really spiteful because they know what institutional violence does to us, especially as black people. But when we speak specifically about feminism and why this bill splitting thing has caused such a divide in the discourse, it's something that I want to tackle head on. And this is why I feel it's so important to distinguish between white feminism and feminism. As an African woman, a black woman, it is not in my interest to split bills with men. I think it's the more we talk about this, the more stupid it starts to sound. And the more stupid something starts to sound, the more you start to feel stupid participating in that behaviour. And that stupid behaviour is splitting bills with men. I think it's really stupid. And the reason why I think this causes people to clutch their pearls is because for so long, their liberation has been tied to them splitting bills with men and them telling themselves that they are equal to men. To me, it's an insult to your power as a woman to lower yourself downwards to equality to men. That's what I take issue with, because when you're saying that you're equal to men, essentially what you're saying is that you have diluted your superiority in order to meet men at their level. I don't hear men saying that they strive to be equal to women, because if we were already equal, then men will be saying that they want to strive to be equal to women, right? Because it's only women saying they want to be equal to men. You want to be equal to men, so you want to have the privileges that men have. What are those privileges? Okay, they can open bank accounts without a woman's permission. They are able to run at night. I don't know, like they have the power to make laws on people's bodies. For me, it's like, as a woman, I'm superior to all of that. I can never aspire to be equal to the people that I give birth to. Men come from women's bodies. It's so crazy that the people that we experience misogyny at the hands of come out of our bodies. Like, we literally give birth to the problem. That to me is insanely diabolical. I saw something on my TikTok the other day and it made me laugh so much that I had to screenshot it and post it on my Instagram story. So the TikTok is of a white man. He looks middle-aged and he's actually not even talking in the TikTok. He's just gesturing towards a body of text that has been placed on the video. And the body of text that he is gesturing with his hands towards reads, "White women are the men of women." And when I saw that, I was like, exactly, someone gets it. And the fact that it's coming from a white man, that's an added layer of getting it. Of course, a white man would know. He would know this because he's surrounded by white women. But if we actually unpack, because I can hear some of you be like, what do you mean by that? Oh my God. What do you mean white women are the men of women? Let me land. When we think about how men behave, the feigned incompetence, i.e. them pretending to not know what's going on. Men being like, what about National Men's Day? Men being like, but what about men's mental health? Men being like, yeah, but it's not all men. Men being like, yeah, but we can't end patriarchy overnight. There are parallels in how white women behave. White women do it too when it comes to discussing racism in women's spaces or racism generally. White women love to pretend like they don't know what to do about it. They pretend that they're not a part of the problem. They pretend that they can't see it. They are incredibly violent with their microaggressive behaviors, whether it's the hair touching and them acting like they don't understand what's wrong with touching someone's hair. They are busy crying in the workplace because they know that their tears will result in somebody getting reprimanded, and it's usually a black person. But when black people cry in the workplace, we don't get that kind of respect or support from HR. It's the whole idea of white women deliberately calling the police on black people, acting like they don't know what's going to happen to us if police is called on us, even though they've been living in the same world as us and seeing the same violence televised. It's the whole idea of white women pretending like they're not a part of the problem by splitting bills with men and enabling malevolent behaviors from men by being like, oh, he's having a hard time, so I'm going to support him through this. I don't believe in dating men who have money because all men who have money are evil and broke people are not evil, because that's how the world works, isn't it? Everything is a clean binary. There is only good and evil. There is no grey area. Every single person who has come into money has come into it through evil means. And every single person who's financially struggling is automatically a good person because they're struggling. Is that what we're doing? Because that sounds like a load of malarkey. And that's the same bullshit that men be coming with. And the biggest enablers of men are white women. So that's what we're going to be tackling today. And if you don't like it, do not listen to this podcast. Do not consume any of my work. You're going to have to deal. Because remember, all this time, we've had all the smoke for men. We've enjoyed calling men out on their behavior. We've enjoyed identifying how men play an institutional role in our demise. But we haven't discussed who their main enablers are. White women are the biggest enablers of all men. That includes black men. You see the black men who are anti-black, who they don't like black women, but they love white women. White women are the enablers of black men who hate themselves. We're getting into it today. So anyway, when I posted that story of the white man saying white women are the men of women, some white girl messaged me on Instagram and she was like, question, I just followed your page because I find you very inspiring. While I understand you calling out white women for what they do wrong, why is it necessary to post shit like this? You have many white female allies, yet you are laughing in our faces with this superiority bullshit. Not cool mamas. And then she put like a brown skin toned 2 fingers up emoji. Side eye of all side eyes. So I said in response, this message is very, but what about National Men's Day coded? She just proved the man's point. If you think I'm going to have all this smoke for a group of oppressive ass men, why won't I shine the light on their biggest enablers, white women? We cannot discuss patriarchy without discussing white supremacy. And we cannot discuss white supremacy without discussing how white women uphold it. You don't get to pick and choose over here. I make the rules because this is my page. And because there's no other creator, to my knowledge, discussing the topic of dating dynamics in the depth that I do, you will either have to deal with it or stop consuming my work. I will have to start calling white women out more often so I can sift out the weak ones who think I'll beckon to their fragility. I'm not your little mamas. Yeah? Yeah? That's why I feel like we are living in the times we're living in now. A lot of it is white women's fault. White women will always choose patriarchy over their own liberation. Even though they're positioning themselves as disliking it, they will pick and choose the parts that they want to keep and leave. That's not how abolition works, by the way. Just so you know, if you want to abolish an entire system, all of it has to go. Not just picking and choosing. So what white women want to do is they want to still keep men close as their emotional support animals, even if those men are racist, even if those men are voting for Trump. Because voting for Trump, it's not just about pink pussy hats and this pussy grabs back, because that's the biggest oppression that white women have faced from white men, pussy grabbing. But for black people, what the Trump administration signifies is deeper than just intimate partner violence or pussy being grabbed. It's black people being incarcerated even more. It's racism being ramped up. So that's why we keep coming back to this whole bill splitting thing. The bill splitting thing is deeper. I've realized it's deeper than just this whole idea of, oh, a man's going to take care of you. I'm starting to see why white women really hate it when I talk about not splitting bills of men. But we'll come back to that. So another person messaged me in response to this same story I posted where it's a screenshot of a man saying white women are the men of women. This person said, I literally had one of my white friends tell me after sending her your podcast that she didn't agree with letting a man pay because she wanted to be equal in a relationship, and also she didn't mind being catcalled in the street. I think I have ended this friendship. I'm fed up of surrounding myself with women who think like this. White people from wealth think differently. There it is. Bingo. Bingo. Come and collect your fucking grand prize, ma'am. This is the issue I have. This is the issue I have when talking about men and money and bringing white women into the conversation. It really do be the ones that come from money that they love a bill split. They fucking love it. And because they are used to the privilege of always having had money, they don't understand why money is important for social mobility as a person who is positioned towards the bottom of the hierarchical power structure as a black person. When you are white, and you're already born into money, of course you're going to be like, I'm going to split bills because all I care about is love. And I see that musty behavior all the time, and it's insanely irritating because to me that's the height of cognitive dissonance. You know why that's cognitive dissonance? Because it's this whole idea of like, oh, as a woman, I already have money, so I'm not going to accept a man's help. As a woman, I'm empowered and I want to be equal to men. So I'm not going to accept support from them. Like, it's such weird vibes, girl. That stinks. Stop saying that shit out loud. You're sinking the ship for everyone. And this is the gripe I have with white women. White women sink the ship for everybody. Because they are the closest to men in the power structure. All this talk about disassembling patriarchy. They only want to disassemble patriarchy when it comes to them being able to be a girl boss and for them to have reproductive rights, which, by the way, both are valid. Like, everybody deserves reproductive rights and everybody should be a girl boss. And boys should be boy boss too. But when it comes to social mobility and discussing how money plays a deeper role in the lives of people who are systemically oppressed, that's where white women have a blind spot. And that's why they have this weird reflex kickback to the discussion surrounding money and dating men. Also, a lot of you have the self-restraint of a 4-year-old. So you would never be able to date a man who has money, take his money, save yours, spend his, and not feel bad. Self-restraint is a huge cornerstone element in this conversation. Yes, a lot of you lack self-restraint. That's why when you see a woman like myself being like, oh, I don't sleep with men and they still give me money. I don't sleep with men and they still admire me. I don't sleep with men because I don't feel like I need to. You're all like, oh my God, but how? But what if you're horny? How? It's really strange to see that, like, you guys are still choosing intimacy with men over your future. So you're telling me that you're willing to trade your future for 10 minutes of finger blasting? Is that how you conceptualize what's valuable to you? Because the men that you guys are clamoring to hold on to, they don't even love you. This love everyone is talking about. That's why I find white women very, very draining to talk to in my work. And that's why it's so important that I remind you guys that I'm not one of those people who is going to remain palatable and pandering to your fragility. I'm very aware of the power my work holds. And I know that even though I'm not the only person who makes social commentary of this nature pertaining to dating and power dynamics between men and women, I'm the only one who is hitting the nail where it needs to be hit. So you're going to have to take exactly what I give you. Because what you're not going to do is tell me that I'm not being a girl's girl. Because I fucking hate that girl's girl phrase. I'm not being a girl's girl for calling you out. For calling you out on how you enable white supremacy. Because like we touched on when I was reading the story responses and what I said in response to the story responses, we can't discuss patriarchy without discussing white supremacy. And we can't discuss white supremacy without discussing how white women uphold white supremacy and how that is the foundation for patriarchy to thrive upon. So white women, you're part of the problem. Yes. And one of the main issues is, yes, splitting bills with men. Like I said, it goes deeper than shopping trips and new shoes. This is about understanding how power works and how you give your power away in a trade-off that doesn't benefit you. Do you know what I find funny about white women? They like to wear the key to their psychological prison like it's a Pandora charm. They are so happy to be picked. They are so happy to patch and manage with a man and say, well, at least I'm in love. Girl, stand up, girl. What do you mean, well, at least I'm in love? That man is he's a succubus. A male succubus. You're being financially leeched off of and you're saying, well, at least I'm in love. This is why it's important to love yourself. And I don't mean the Instagramified self-love that has been commercialized and turned into mindless fodder. I mean love yourself as in demanding more from the people who you're fucking and sucking. You don't have the self-esteem to demand more from men, but you want to call it equality so that you'll feel better about selling yourself short. You don't have the self-restraint to hold back on your impulses to sleep with men, but you call it empowerment because it makes you feel better about lacking sexual self-control. I'm going to have to let that one sink for a minute. You call women who know how to financially advocate for themselves gold diggers so that you will feel better about accepting men who are taking more than they're giving you. You convince yourself to feel proud of that because for once a woman is in charge. You're wearing the trousers. Yeah, you're in charge of his bills, but you're not in charge of your own life. Not anymore. Not since that man came into the picture. No, because you're now his caretaker. And he's absolutely definitely cheating. Just so you know. You might be wondering, umming and ahhing, like, is he cheating? Is he not? Am I paranoid? I'm going to categorically tell you that he is. Because even the men who have got money and are not splitting bills with women, they're still cheating too. And you know why they're cheating? Because they can. The mistake women are making, especially white women, is that they are over-personalizing how men view them. They're refusing to see men as a systemic cohort. They're refusing to see men as people who wield systemic power and will always wield that power for their own benefit, especially when it comes to sexual benefit. White women have been imprisoned by their individualism, so much so that they think they're special enough for themselves to be the exception when dating the same men who we know have already had a reputation for centuries of being loser scumbags who will take whatever it is they want from a woman and not feel bad about it. But as a white woman, you feel like you can police black women on how they navigate their feminism. You feel like you can tell black women, it's not feminism if you're spending men's money. That's capitalism. You don't get to tell me what's capitalism. I don't think a white person, a benefactor of white supremacy, gets to tell me, a black woman, what is and isn't capitalism, especially in the realm of dating for social mobility. I date for social mobility. I don't date for love. I have love. I am loved. I can create love by myself if I want to. A lot of you don't know how to do that. That's why you're deferring to men for love. And this is how people end up in dangerous situations. You're worrying about the girls who are dating men for money. They're 10 times smarter than you because you know what they're all doing that you don't know how to do? They know how to control their attachment to men. They know how to control their emotions. White women have never been taught that they need to control their emotions. Because when we look at how white women's emotions have harmed people, look at Emmett Till, a 14-year-old boy who was hung because a white woman lied that he looked at her. White women have never been held accountable for how their emotional outbursts sink the ship for everyone. So in that same breath, being emotional and lacking control over how you handle your emotions is more dangerous for yourself and others than you think as a woman. And part of being too emotional, I would consider being too horny in the same category of being too emotional. And this is not sex shaming or trying to imply that there should be a puritanical approach to dating. Not at all. If anything, when you are dating men with money or just dating men, period, there is always going to be some sort of sexual elements that you are teasing. Because we know that men are only getting to know us because they want to see our tits. They're not getting to know you because they want to hear about your views on Socrates. They want to see them Socrates. No, but seriously, a lot of women lack emotional self-control. And I see this most commonly with white women. The reason I say I see this most commonly with white women is they're the ones who are always asking me, but what about love? When I'm talking about dating men for the benefit of your actual life rather than dating men for the sake of having a partnership that just is a partnership by mere label. They're like, but what about love? I'm like, girl, you need to rewrite your definition of love because I'm scared. What you asking me what about love for? This is all about love. Me saying that men need to take care of you is me saying that men need to love you love you enough to bring you an easier life. Now, this is where I lose people because they're like, yeah, but that's infantilizing. Goodness me. Goodness me. We are never going to be free. And that's why I think it's so important for me to let you guys know that if you're a white woman and you listen to my work and it makes you feel uncomfortable, I would like you to carry on dating your broke men in peace. I am not going to hold you. Because to be fair, somebody needs to date these men that we don't want. So I think you should do the community effort of doing a beach cleanup. Yes, I see dating broke men as the equivalent of doing a beach cleanup. Just carry the trash. Just carry it. We don't want it. We don't want it because broke men are the most horrible people that I've come across when it comes to how they interpersonally relate to women. This is not to say that broke people are inherently bad people because they're broke. That's not what I'm saying. Someone's still going to take it that way. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the men who are the stingiest, most bad vibes, most negative, most hating on your achievements as a woman is broke men. You are setting yourself up for more intimate partner violence by being with a broke man than you would be by dating a rich man. Let me finish, because I know someone's going to be like, yeah, but rich men are dangerous. They'll lock you away. The point I'm making here is that if you have your own money, who is locking you anywhere? It's very mind-numbing and draining to have to constantly remind women that dating men who are essentially paying reparations. That's what this is all about. Dating men who are paying reparations does not mean that they're controlling you because you have the final say. As I am right now, I'm not a millionaire at the moment. But if I were to date a millionaire, I can get what I want from him and still have my freedom, my sense of self, my individualism, and my safety. Because I'm not relying on him. I have my own money. And it's not just about relying financially on a man. A lot of these women, they also rely emotionally on men. And that's why I'm like, are you guys okay? In one breath, we're saying, oh, men are not very good at emotions. So we need to give them a chance to catch up and we need to be nicer to them because they're not good at emotions. And then in the next breath, these women be contradicting themselves by saying that they're dating men for emotions. Are you guys okay? You're dating men for emotions when you know emotions is not their strong suit. So why are you dating? You might as well just date them for money. Because money is a stronger suit for men than emotions. A man is going to get money before he gets emotions. I'll tell you that for free. You ain't about to catch me dating a man for emotions. What am I, 15? The other day I was talking to a white lady. And I was really hitting it off with her. But see, my thing is, I'm a Libra rising, in case you don't know. I speak a lot about astrology on this podcast, but not from like the gobbledygook twinkly stars way. I mean it from a place of giving context to my personality. So I'm a Libra rising. As a Libra rising, what I find very fascinating about how I behave when I meet people, especially new people, is Libra as a sign is incredibly diplomatic. Some will argue that we are wishy-washy. Others may argue that we cannot make our minds up. What I would say is, yes, all of the above can be true. And at the same time, when we meet new people, we don't immediately want to come across as disagreeable. So we pay attention to how they respond to certain ideas we have. And we use that to gauge on what they're likely to agree and disagree with. And then most of us end up not saying what our actual ideas are because we know they're not going to like it. So yes, it's very people-pleasing flavored. Now, how I behave as a Libra rising is, and how this leads into the context of a lovely white lady I met the other day. So I was wrapping up somewhere. I was somewhere and I was wrapping up, packing my bags. And I was speaking to this lovely white lady who I'd just met that day. And what was interesting was she asked me what I do. And I told her, I'm an author. I have a podcast where I encourage women to date more selfishly. And she was like excited by the idea of it. And then we started to dive a little more deeper into the conversation. And then I said to her that the photo shoot I'm on my way to, a man paid for it and I haven't met him and I'm not going to date him. And I saw a visible discomfort in her demeanor. She wasn't angry. She was uncomfortable though. But she didn't say anything negative. I can always tell a shift in energy when I say certain things. And I'm so used to this shift in energy because it's very common and it's largely common amongst white women. So then she was talking about her boyfriend and what their setup is. And it was exactly what I expected it to be. She was like how like they split things equally. She said to me that she would prefer a man who she can talk about her emotions with over a man who's got 100k in his bank account. And I just, oh my God, rubs temples. There's a lot to unpack in that statement. I prefer a man who I can talk about my emotions with than a man who's got 100k in the bank. First of all, 100k is not a lot of money if we're talking about dating for provision and lifestyle. A man who's got 100k in the bank, he's not got anything for you, because people who are 100k, they get taxed like, yo, have you seen the brutality of those who are on 100k salary and the tax? Listen, 100k, especially with the price it is to live in the UK, 100k is a livable wage for one singular person. Any man who is making 100k cannot afford to pay his rent and yours. You're splitting bills with a man who's got 100k. Just to clear that up. Just to clear that one up quickly. Now, the statement, I would rather date a man for emotions than date a man with 100k in the bank, that already tells me that you're not financially literate. Or I should say you're not financially educated. And you don't even have to be a fucking stocks and shares advisor to know that 100k is not a lot of money. But I hear this a lot with women when they're like, I'd rather be with a man who I can talk about my emotions with than to be with a man who's got money. And it's like, why do you value emotions over money when money can actually solve the problems that are causing you these turbulent emotions that you're looking for a man to help you deal with? What emotions are you not discussing with these men? I want to know. I want to know why you people are so silly. It's like giving a child the option between picking from a bar of gold and a bar of sweets. It's a child, so the child is going to pick sweets because the sweets is instant gratification and the child has no concept of long-term value. The child should have picked the bar of gold because the child can invest that bar of gold and be able to buy themselves way more sweets with that bar of gold if we're thinking along the lines of what's valuable to a child. But the child isn't old enough to know what that kind of value looks like. So we're going to cut the child some slack. You are not a child. You're an adult woman. You need to help me just like how you guys want me to help you understand why it's important to date men who have money. You need to help me understand why you're dating men who are only giving you emotions. What fucking emotions? You're an adult. Men are not an emotional support animal. I want to know what these girls are discussing with these men, because these are the same men. Are you guys really telling me that these same men who gaslight you and ask you what about National Men's Day and who tell you that they're having a male loneliness epidemic after they've killed all the women are the same men you're discussing emotions with? What emotions are you discussing that you cannot discuss amongst yourself with other women? What emotions are you discussing with men that you cannot discuss by yourself? I want to know what men are doing for you emotionally that you cannot fulfill by yourself. And this is what I mean by you're lugging men around and you're choosing men over your own liberation. In my opinion, shucking and jiving and emotionally pandering to men is not where your liberation lies. People argue that, it's disempowering to take men's money because you're taking bad money that has come from doing bad things. And this is coming from people who work in corporations, whether that's H&M, whether that's even Hermes. Like, we're living in a capitalist society. So the moralization of money is a tool that's used to beat women into their place because it's only women that are held to moral standards. Men are not held to moral standards. What do you think the world would look like if men were held to moral standards? Can you not see the loopholes that are being used to trick you out of your spot? So annoying, man. That's why I find white women incredibly annoying as an audience, because you guys are the ones who be like, what about love? Shut the whole fuck up. I'm tired of this stupid what about love thing. What about loving yourself? What about loving yourself enough to demand more for your life? What about loving yourself enough to demand only the best? What about loving yourself enough to reframe what you call love? What about loving yourself enough to redesign what you consider is the best? Because right now, your personal best is a man you can discuss emotions with. You can discuss emotions with ChatGPT. You can discuss emotions in your fucking group chat. You need to get a friend group and get a community outside of men. And this is what I mean by white women will always choose men over themselves. And I see this more commonly in the white community of women than I do anywhere else. I'm not saying that there aren't black women who are pick-me's too. That's a different conversation, because the pick-meism in the black community is very different from the pick-meism in the white community, because the pick-meism in the white community costs black people our lives. These are the same pick-me's who joined their boyfriends and husbands to vote for Trump. Talking about what about love? Fuck off. Fuck off. Go and love yourself. I triple fucking motherfucking dare you to get a grip of your pussy. Grip your own fucking pussy and stop waiting for men to give you orgasms. Grip your own motherfucking pussy and stop waiting for men to validate you, so that you won't be that person who is choosing the bag of sweets over the bar of gold. I'm sorry. Everyone's trying to moralize this whole thing of like choosing a man who has nothing going for him. We're not living in Bridget Jones, my dear. This is a real world, a real life where the decisions you make have material consequences. People be like, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. Yes, it does. Money makes me very happy. You know why money makes me happy? Let me tell you why money makes me happy. Especially when I receive it from men. Oh my God, it's an intoxicating feeling. When I receive money from men, it makes me very happy because one, it's a reminder of my power, because I do not have to sleep with that man. And even if I chose to sleep with that man, that's still a power in itself, because it's women handing out pussy for free and calling it equality and sexual liberation. Boo. But when a man gives me money, especially when I haven't had sex with him, I feel incredibly empowered, because me betting on myself, me believing in myself has resulted in me receiving some money. And that money now has resulted in me having a very easy month. I can sleep in this month. I can move slower this month. I can take more time to sit with myself, because I don't have to chase the clock, because I don't have to worry about where money is coming in for a while. I feel so happy when I receive money, because what that money is going to do for my life. Oh, yes, I can finally pay off my accountant who I was owing money for a little longer than I should have. I can finally clear that tax bill, because, when you own multiple businesses, you'll be so surprised. Like, even if you're good with money, in a recession, running multiple businesses, there's always going to be an extenuating or unpaid tax bill that you need to fucking handle. And it's not impossible to do. It's just another inconvenience. But when someone sends you a pile of cash, you're like, oh, good, I can pay off that tax bill. Oh my God, now my mental health is just going back to equilibrium with my body. I can feel balanced again. Like, I'm so sorry. You guys moralize money so much, and it's because you don't know how to get it. You think that it's noble to struggle. You think that it is immoral to prioritize money in a world where women are socioeconomically disempowered on purpose. You think that a woman is conniving and evil if she approaches men with strategy, even though men approach us all the time with the strategy and intent to sleep with us. You feel bad about passing up on a good man. He is a good man, Savannah. You feel bad about passing up on a, air quotes, good man because he hasn't got money. I don't give a fuck how good a man is. If he's so good, he needs to get good at getting money, because to be with me requires a lot. I have decided that my version of feminism requires more from men than just letting them moan at me about their loneliness. As a man, expect loneliness as a result of misogyny. You have literally killed all the women. There are no women left. You've killed all of them. Of course you're lonely. What do you want us to do? What do you guys actually want us to do? My issue is when white women see black women being treated better than them, I can see the steam leaving their heads with anger, because it's like, you're supposed to be beneath me on the power structure, black woman. Luxury is only supposed to be reserved for whiteness. Luxury as a concept was always reserved for those who sit higher up on the power structure, and that has always been white people. But when you see a black person having access to an easier life than you immediately want to demonize them. You immediately want to moralize your weak position. You chose a weak man. You chose that for your life. You settled because that was the best you can do. There's a saying, water finds its level. You guys found each other because you're at the same level. So when you come across a woman, a black woman specifically, embodying the confidence that you don't know where to start with obtaining, you get angry about it and you say that it's not feminist because your feminism is all about pandering to men. That's what I'm saying. If it means me abandoning this whole stupid feminism thing and just being a wayward rebel, I'm going to be a wayward rebel. I'm sorry. If feminism means me splitting bills with men, then I'm not a feminist. If feminism means me splitting bills with men, then I'm not a feminist. Okay? You guys can have that word, eat it, turn it into a smoothie if you want. I don't give a fuck. All I give a fuck about is living a good life. And if a man's going to be in the picture, my God, I'm going to have a brilliant life. And it's been working for me ever since. I'm very proud of the choices that I have made. When I look back on my 20s, we started off on a very rocky start, which is expected, you know? I don't really expect 21-year-olds to be able to apply my work with the same vigor that I would expect of a 27-year-old, because you need to go through that process of dating broke boys so you know why that doesn't work for your life. You need to go through the process of dating men for emotions so you can see why that doesn't work. You need to go through the process of dating good-looking, pretty boys so you can see why that doesn't fucking work. All of that is a part of the process as you start to unravel into your womanhood and you start to really find your own. I'm proud of myself that I've been able to find my own. I'm so glad that I already have self-restraint. I worked hard for that self-restraint. I used to be very impulsive with making decisions to sleep with men. I used to think it was very empowered to have sex with just anyone. But now the true empowerment is taking men's money and not sleeping with them. I think that's fucking badass. Sorry. You can't relate because you've never believed enough in yourself to try it out. Every woman is capable of it. Every woman. I know people are like, yeah, but not me though because I'm ugly. I hear women being so self-deprecating in my messages, in the responses to things I say. And it's like, this is how you guys just trick yourselves out of your own spot. I see women being like, yeah, it's easy for you to say, Chidera, that you'd only date a man for money because you're pretty. Girl, I'm not even trying to be rude, yeah? I'm going to be very careful with my wording because I don't believe in bringing down other women for their looks. Like, it's not even about looks. What I'm going to say here, with as careful wording as I can, is within the sex work community and adjacently the kink community, there are some women who, I'm going to say that they're very unmemorable. I'm going to call it that. Their faces are unmemorable. They are making your salary in 2 weeks and they're not fucking anyone. Within the sex work / adjacent kink community, there are women who are visibly, undeniably fat. And I don't mean the word fat as a slur. I mean the word fat as a neutral descriptor, just like how slim is a neutral descriptor. And those fat women are making your salary in 2 weeks. There are women who you, the person listening right now, look better than. Whatever better than means, you are that. And you can't even do what they're doing. Not because it's impossible for you, but because you don't know where to start. And because you don't know where to start, you mystify what these women are doing. Because it must be magic. I don't know how they're able to just open their mouth and ask a man for money. The same way men are able to just open their mouth and ask you for pussy. You can see what muscle someone hasn't practiced enough of using by what fears they have. And this is why money is such an important conversation when it comes to feminism and dating men. We are not going to run away from it. Everybody loves when a woman is wearing an oversized blazer and is talking about being a girl boss, running her business and making money. We love a girl boss when she's in business, but we don't love a girl boss when she's in relationships. No, we don't want women to girl boss around men. No, girl bosses should not be asking men for money. No, girl bosses should be wearing their grey pinstripe blazer and splitting bills with men. Yes, good girl boss. Bad girl bosses, which we do not like, are acing it in business and acing it in their relationships. Yes. We don't want to see a girl boss talking about money when she's talking about men. We only want to hear girl bosses talking about money when they're talking about selling a new lip gloss. You guys are cooked, man. Cooked. Fucking cooked. That's why I'm going to be your exposure therapy. I'm going to expose you to what makes you so deeply uncomfortable so that you can either get over it or get something else to do. Because your fear of money, your fear of men, your fear of looking like a bad person is not serving you. I don't actually believe you guys when you say you're scared of men. I don't believe you. You're not scared of men because you guys are sleeping with them on the first date. Does that sound like somebody that you're scared of? You're letting them into your home on the same night you met them. And you want to tell me that the reason why you don't date men with money is because you're scared of what men are capable of. Let's stop being intellectually dishonest, yeah? We will all benefit from observing the ways that intellectual dishonesty shoots us all in the foot. You mean to tell me the reason why you don't like talking about dating men with money is because when men have money, they're scary? Because the money is power and we all know men abuse power. But in the same breath, you're going to tell me that the broke man you met at All Bar One is coming home with you. How do you know he's not going to kill you? You think because he doesn't have money, he doesn't have power? This is why I'm saying everybody needs to go back to that drawing board, because whatever wave of feminism we're in, is it 5th, 7th, 12th, whatever wave we're in, back to the lab. Take it back to the lab, girl, because it's not working. It needs to be recalled with immediate effect because it's serving us no fucking good. You're telling me you date broke men because you're scared of rich men because rich men are scary when they have power, but you're inviting men to your house on the second night you've met them because you're an empowered girl boss. Get out of here with that rubbish because it doesn't make any sense. If you were actually scared of men like I am, you would only date men who have something to lose. Because men who have something to lose have to protect something a lot harder. Meaning they can't just fucking abuse you in broad daylight. They can't just stalk you and lock you in the basement. They can't just treat you as disposable if they know that that's going to cost them. The cost for men who have money when dating women who date men like them is it becomes a trap for the man, not the woman. You know why it's a trap for the man and not the woman? If the woman knows what she's doing, you can actually trap that man, not him trapping you. Let me tell you how these men get trapped. The more money you invest in something or someone, the harder it's going to be for you to walk away. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Think about it. It's no different to when these girls are like, oh, I've already been with this musty man for 10 years. I've already given 10 years of my life to this. I can't let it go away. I can't just throw it away, so I'm going to just stay and manage. That's the same thing that men do when they've spent a lot of money on a woman. No matter how annoying she is, they're not really trying to leave because they've already spent so much that it's like, look, I've already invested so much in this woman. I might as well figure out how to make it work. That's how you get there. What do you think women are doing when they're dating men with money? You think we're all just, oh, we have no brain, just bubbles in our skull. We're only buying Gucci and Louboutin. We are not building businesses and investing in our crypto wallets. We are not setting ourselves up for financial safety. Ooh, we are not heading towards owning multiple properties at the hands of men. We're all just goofy with big tits. What do you think we're doing? Because trust and believe, and I feel very confident saying this because it will happen. And I can't wait to be like, told you guys, tried to tell you. Give me 10 years. Give me just 10 years and I will be owning multiple properties in my name, all bought for me by men. Watch and see. And it's not because I'm a public figure. Guys, this is the one thing I get often. People are like, yeah, but like you're a celebrity. So men are going to be more likely to give you what you want. Guys, like, I'm not a celebrity in the way that I'd be cast to go on, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Do you get, like, me, I know where I sit on the power structure of public figure, and I play to my strengths, and I leave those who have more strengths to play to their strengths. Like, I'm not in no rat race of fame. I'm very happy with the life I have right now. I can walk into Tesco without being followed by 15 people who want to buy my autograph and sell it on Vinted. Yeah? I'm very happy that I live a life where people recognize what I've done when they're within certain spaces, but I have my freedom and my privacy. I would like to maintain this as much as I can. This is the sweet spot that I'm in. But no, there are men who I meet, especially the kind of men I date. Most of them have never heard of me before. And I love when they haven't heard of me because it means I get a fresh slate to really execute this game how I want to execute it. I don't really like it when men already know who I am and what I do because it's like, oh, they've seen the podcast. So they're going to now think that they're one step ahead of me. So it's going to make the game a little harder. It's not impossible, but it will just be a little harder for me to play this game. And I play to win, girl. I'm a very, very strong contender. Because psychologically, I have spent years studying men. You know why I study men? You need to study the people who trigger you. And this is the mistake white women are making. And that's why I think feminism has reached a very redundant place. What white women are doing in sinking the ship for everyone is they're trying to force us all to believe that love will conquer all. Love is not going to conquer all, unfortunately. It's not. You will conquer most things with money before you can conquer it with love. Sorry to break it to you. I'm so sorry. Talking about, oh, I would date a man who I can talk about my emotions with rather than a man who's got money. Girl, are you okay? So if that man gets you pregnant, what's healthcare saying? Because the NHS is collapsing. Meaning that in about 10 years' time or less, we're going to need to start investing in private healthcare. Can your man afford private healthcare? Or are you the sorry, wait, don't even mind me. You're a girl boss. Sorry, I forgot. You're going to do it all by yourself, even while you're pregnant. Yeah, because the man is just there as a fucking key ring, isn't he? Sorry, oh madam. Sorry, I ain't gonna hold you, girl. I'm gonna speak for myself. You can do your girl boss thing. Me, I'm not working while I'm pregnant. Do you know how upset it makes me when I go to M&S or any grocery store and I see a woman with a bump stacking shelves? I want to make it clear there's nothing wrong with stacking shelves if that's your job. Where I take issue is, a woman having to do a job that involves her being on her feet for hours, lifting things. I'm not saying that pregnancy means that you're weak or that you can't lift shelves. I've seen people who are not bodybuilding, but weights lifting while pregnant. And that's all well and good. And there are pregnant people who they actually feel energized during their pregnancy and they feel empowered enough to be more active. That's great. But the woman I'm talking about as the example who is 8 months pregnant and stacking shelves in a supermarket, if we're going down the line of thinking where we're going to just play devil's advocate and we're going to say that she's empowered and she wants to work because she feels energized. If she was dating a man who could actually take care of her, she could use that energy differently and maybe she could be playing tennis a few times a week. She could be investing in an outlet that benefits her without her having to work out of necessity. My issue is women being pregnant and working because their man can't afford it. I'm not going to judge how people have gotten pregnant because you just never know how someone got pregnant. You know, not all pregnancies are consensual. So sometimes I have to just keep my side eye to myself and not judge. What I will say is if you're not pregnant at the moment, you and that child deserves a better life. Try your best to think beyond your lust. Because dating a man with money is more than just about trips and shoes. It's about access to healthcare, living in a safe neighborhood, and being set up for a life where you will never have to work a day again unless you want to. And even if you're working for yourself and you're keeping all of your money, which means that you will be financially independent more so than a woman who's splitting bills. That's why I keep on coming back to this topic of splitting bills with men, because it's deeper than just shopping trips and vacations. It's about how we disempower ourselves. I have never met a person who has come out better on the other side from splitting bills with men their whole life versus women who have only dated men with money. The women who have dated men with money, who I personally look up to, they have multiple businesses in their name. They'll be financially independent for the rest of their life. They've clocked the way to win the game is have your own money, save yours, and spend his. It turns out that you can, in fact, do both. You can be a girl boss and boss him around. And that's why binary thinking is keeping my people stuck. If we were to follow the binary thinking that white women have laid out for us in this 27th wave of feminism that we are all struggling through, we would all be only dating broke men because broke equals good and rich equals bad, isn't it? Yes, of course. So we will all be, what do you call shucking and jiving and splitting bills with these men and pretending that it's not uncomfortable. You guys are smiling through the pain and calling it equality. I don't want to be equal to men. They can never be equal to me. I don't want to lower myself to being equal to people who scratch their balls and don't wash their hands. I don't want to be equal to people who have to create laws to control women. That's how you know that you're superior to men, because men have to create laws to control you. You're so powerful of a life force that men have quite literally got to create legislation to stop your pussy from popping too close to the sun. Sorry, but the girls need to wrap it up. Yeah? The bill splitting narrative is tired. You splitting bills with men enables patriarchy more than you spending men's money. You moralizing money enables patriarchy more than you understanding that money is a tool to get you closer to the safety and the life that you want and deserve. You dating men for emotions versus you dating men for money is keeping you more tied to patriarchy than you would be if you just detached yourself emotionally and saw men for providers. That's what they are. You conflating the word provider with abuser is why you're stuck, because you lack the education to understand that just because someone is providing, it doesn't mean that you have lost your independence. And that's why we need to release ourselves from this binary thinking, because it's clearly not serving us. But hey, you actually don't even need to listen to a word I say. You can continue dating your broke men in peace, and I will not be affected by that in any way, because I'm not picking from the men you're picking from. And I can actually live without sex. And it's not because of asexual. No. It's called impulse control. It's called self-control. And self-control is a muscle that has to be worked through practice. I was not always like this. I got to a stage in my life where enough became enough. Yeah, things got to a stage where I was like, I can't keep on feeling like after every single situationship ends, my whole world has also come to an end. That's musty. That don't make any sense. There wasn't even a defined relationship. So why am I mourning this like it's a fucking divorce? Because you got overinvested. Then I started to learn to practice emotional detachment with men, and that's when I found my power. Now, the feminist girls will argue that I'm emotionally damaged, which is why I'm able to detach myself from men. The real emotional damage is latching yourself onto every and any man who somewhat mirrors and validates you. That's a result of emotional damage, because you cannot regulate yourself. You over-identify with people who remind you of yourself. And because your sense of self-esteem is so fractured, you get very excited when you meet a man who you think likes you because you don't think you're lovable. Whereas, if you're a woman who knows how to enjoy the feeling of attraction to a man, but to not get emotionally attached, you win. Women lose when they become emotionally attached. I've seen it happen time and time again. That's why "but I love him" becomes a thing that keeps people in abusive relationships. And that's how those women who are scared of men with money end up in abusive relationships with men who have money, because they get carried away with their emotions and they forget that managing your emotions is a full-time job for the rest of your life. Men will not manage your emotions for you. Men are not to be trusted unattended with your rawest of emotions. You are in charge of protecting yourself. You are in charge of what you choose to share with men. You oversharing with men does not mean you're bonding with them. It means you're giving them the keys to the secret corridors of your triggers. And you cannot trust those men to not mishandle those keys, because abuse of power is always associated with men. Whether a man is rich or broke, if he wants to be abusive, he'll be abusive. It's about you detaching yourself completely from this fantasy that men will be the missing piece in your life. None of the men who have ever sent me money are the missing piece in my life. They were the missing pounds. They played their role when I needed a character to fill that spot in that particular part of the story. Do I feel bad? Not even in the slightest. Just like how men don't feel bad about using us to play sexual roles in their lives. That's what you call equality. But yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to end this episode here. I'm sure a lot of white women have already stopped listening from 5 minutes in, because white fragility operates in such a way that whiteness as a concept is as strong as polystyrene. If you criticize whiteness, it falls apart and attacks you, because the entire structure and origin of whiteness is rooted in the oppression of other people. Whiteness as a presence is cannibalistic in its nature. It steals, it colonizes, and it victimizes itself to maintain its status as both victim and oppressor. And if you want to see white supremacy in action, observe white women. That's all I'm going to say for now. Take care of yourself. And as always, have the best day/evening whenever you're listening to this.